Hi Geometry, today we're going to talk about how to solve for angle measures using the inverses. Still using sine, cosine, and tangents, so we're still going to use SOHCAHTOA to help us remember that. But we're going to use the inverse functions. You may have actually seen these already on your calculator. If you're on a scientific calculator, and again, you can use your phone if you just tip it to the side, you'll see it. Actually, you won't see it on your phone unless you click second. Then you'll see the sign of -1. Some of you might already have these buttons, so it's like on the main part of your calculator if you have a physical calculator. But it's likely you're going to have to click the second button. So let's recap what we talked about before. This is just a review. We know that, for instance, let's say this is A, B, C. If I wanted to find the sine of A, the sine of A is opposite over hypotenuse, which is 3/5. Okay, that's what you should have talked about or learned like previous to this. Now, we can also go backwards, so this is where I'm going to start using inverses. If I wanted to flip this and like flip-flop the ratio and the angle, then I use the inverse. On the regular trig function, you input an angle and you output a ratio. I'm going to flip this around. Sine -1, sine inverse of 3/5 is A. And that's because if we're looking from A, this is my O, my H, and my adjacent. So when we're using inverses, you just flip it around. And if I actually want to find the angle measure of angle A, okay, so now you're going to go to your calculator, and it's highly likely that you will have to click the second button, and then you'll see sine -1, cosine -1, tangent -1. You want the sine -1 of 3/5. If you're using a regular scientific calculator, like a physical one, then you'll literally type in sine -1 and then 3/5 and close the parentheses, and that should work out just fine. Make sure you press the second button to get the inverse function. If you're using a phone calculator, you'll probably have to do 3/5 first, which gets you 0.6, and then use sine -1. You should get that the measure of angle A is 36.9 degrees. Since we have all three sides marked here, we could also use cosine or tangent. It doesn't matter. Let's see. Cosine. The cosine from A is 4/5, adjacent over hypotenuse, A over H. If I want to find the angle measure of angle A, then I flip that around, and I do cosine inverse of 4/5 equals A. We know what we should get, guys, because it should be the same as the last one. But in your calculator, you want to figure out what that is. Cosine -1, oh my gosh, it's the same thing. So just showing you that you could use any of these here. And you could also use tangent. So last one, tangent of A is opposite over adjacent, 3/4. Okay, flip that around. If you want to use the inverse, you're going to put in the ratio and output an angle. Tangent inverse of 3/4 is A. Okay, in your calculator, check that. Oh my goodness, you get the same thing. Okay. We're going to do, one more example. This one's a little bit different because you're not given all three sides. I would like to know what is the measure of angle B, which is the one up here. And you were given these two sides, 5 and 13. which if you're looking from angle B, this is your A, adjacent, your hypotenuse. So you have to use cosine, adjacent over hypotenuse. Okay, I know that the cosine of B is 5/13, but we're not trying to solve for a side here, we're trying to solve for an angle. So you have to do what we talked about in the last ones, you have to flip this around. The cosine inverse of 5/13 will give you your angle measure. So put your ratio in and you'll get an angle out. Type in your calculator. Remember the inverses are under the second button. And I get that is about 67.4 degrees. Of course, you can, in order to find the other angle measure, you can just subtract from 90. So that's the measure of angle B. And then you could subtract 90 minus that to get angle A. Okay, that's it. Email me if you have questions, please. You're doing a quick assignment today on Khan Academy.